He was the kind of man you'd pass by without noticing, a failed musician named Jared, who once believed he was destined for greatness. At one point, he had dreams bigger than the rundown town he came from. He used to play guitar at local cafes, write his own songs, and swear one day the world would sing his lyrics back to him. But that dream, like so many others, died slowly, choked by bills, rejection letters, and silence from labels that once told him they'd call. No one did. By 32, Jared had lost everything: his apartment, his girlfriend, even his confidence. He tried uploading his songs to streaming sites. Nothing happened. He played on the streets, in subway tunnels, wherever he could. Most people walked by. Some spared him a coin, not a glance. Failure wasn't just a phase. For Jared it had become his identity. That winter, something in him broke. It wasn't just the cold that made his bones ache, it was the realization that the world had moved on without him. So he disappeared, vanished from social media, stopped calling his remaining friends. One morning, he walked out of town with nothing but his guitar, a notebook, and a plan. The plan wasn't to start over. It was to end everything but Fator. Something darker had other ideas. Deep in the woods, outside his hometown, Jared built a cabin with his last bit of money. He didn't plan to return. He told no one. He left a single message with a neighbor who never really cared. Tell anyone looking for me that Jared's gone. He spent weeks in isolation. No internet, no electricity, just paper, strings, and silence. And there, in that silence, he did something he hadn't done in years. He wrote. Not for the crowd, not for fans, for himself. What poured out wasn't pretty. It was pain, trauma, regret. The notebook filled with songs about all the things he never admitted to anyone, the nights he cried in motel bathrooms, the moments he begged the universe to make him invisible, the guilt of pretending he was okay. When he WASN, single quote, then came the song that changed everything. It was untitled at first. A broken melody hummed while looking out into the black tree line, half-frozen fingers pressing strings. The lyrics came in whispers. If this is the end, then let it echo. He recorded it using a cheap old camcorder he'd almost pawned. The audio was raw. You could hear the wind, the fire crackling in the background. His voice cracked in the middle of the chorus. But there was something real about it, something that didn't exist in any of his earlier, polished failures. When he returned to town 6 months later, his beard was thicker, his eyes darker, but something inside him had changed. He uploaded that song, the only one he felt was worth anything, to a forgotten YouTube account under a fake name. No tags, no promotion, just truth. He didn't check back for a week, maybe longer. He didn't expect anyone to notice. Then his phone buzzed just once. Then again, then a flood. He opened the app. The video had gone viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments. People from around the world writing things like, I was going to take my life tonight, but this saved me. Others begged to know who the mysterious artist was behind the haunting song. But he said nothing. The name on the upload was ECHO0, and he left it that way. The fame was never the goal. It still wasn't. But something about seeing his pain turned into connection, into meaning, brought him back. He started uploading more, still under the alias. No face, just a voice. More songs from the notebook. One by one, they exploded. People didn't just like the music, they felt it. It was like they were hearing themselves for the first time. Within a year, the name Echo Zero was everywhere. Spotify playlists, reaction videos, even radio interviews where DJs speculated about the mystery man behind the sound. Labels started reaching out again. But Jared, now living in a small apartment and still using the same broken guitar, didn't answer until one day he did. He walked into an open mic night in New York City, hoodie up, guitar in hand, signed in under Jared. When he played that same untitled song, now known as Echo, the crowd went dead silent. Then they erupted. The fame that once mocked him now welcomed him. But he never played the game. He refused makeup artists, never did interviews, didn't accept brand deals. He stayed underground, even when the world begged him to come up, because Jared knew the truth. The world didn't need another star. It needed a reflection, a mirror, a sound that said, "You're not alone." And he had only found that sound after failure had taken everything. Fame didn't come to the Jared who wanted it. It came to the Jared who no longer cared, because he had finally found his voice in the ruins of silence, from failure to fame, and all because he walked away from the noise to find the music within. ChatGPT said, his rise was too fast, too perfect, almost unnatural. When Daniel first showed up online, nobody knew who he was. No backstory, no interviews, no childhood photos, just a few cryptic videos, sitting in a dimly lit room, face barely visible, speaking about pain, ambition, and transformation. The content was raw and poetic, like he had lived through 1,000 lifetimes in silence and finally decided to speak. Within days, he went viral. Overnight, his subscriber count exploded. Clips of him began circulating on every platform, motivational reels, edits with dramatic music, reaction videos from influencers who couldn't stop praising his words. But behind the views and applause, something didn't add up. He never responded to comments, never went live. No one had ever seen him in public. No college records, no family, no digital footprint beyond the last 7 months. The name he went by D. Hale brought up nothing in background checks, just the videos. Dozens of them now, all powerful, all emotionally piercing, all eerily specific. Then came the disappearances. The first was a reaction channel that openly mocked one of his videos. Just a few days after, the host stopped posting. Then a podcast host who questioned his authenticity vanished from the internet. His channel was deleted, his socials wiped clean. At first, it felt like coincidence. People leave the internet all the time. But then, more subtle things started happening. A user who had written a Reddit post exposing inconsistencies in D. Hale's story claimed that his emails had been accessed, his devices acting strange. A week later, the post was deleted, and his account was suspended. The videos kept coming. In one of them, D. Hale stared directly into the lens and said something that unsettled even his most devoted followers. You don't get here without losing something. Some things you don't get to keep. Nobody knew what he meant, at least, not yet. As his fame grew, so did the darkness around it. Someone compiled a list of people who'd criticized him online, 9 names in total. All had stopped posting, content. Their profiles either frozen or gone. One had left a cryptic goodbye message. Some stories aren't meant to be questioned, especially when they're still being written. What scared people most wasn't what they saw but what they felt. His videos had a way of getting under your skin. Some claimed that his voice lingered in their heads long after watching. One woman said she heard his whisper in a dream. Another said the eyes in his thumbnail photo moved slightly when she looked away. Most chalked it up to paranoia, digital obsession, imagination. But more and more people began reporting similar things. His videos weren't just inspiring, they were invasive. Then came the email. A popular YouTuber received a direct message from D. Hale's official channel. Just a single line. Do you know what you're giving up for attention? That YouTuber hasn't been seen since the theories exploded. Some said D. Hale was an AI. Others claimed he was part of a secret organization that used internet fame as a recruitment tool. A few believed he'd made a deal, something spiritual, something irreversible. But no one could prove anything, because every time someone got too close to the truth, they vanished into digital silence. A tech journalist named Isaac decided to go deeper. He tracked D. Hale's uploads, IP data, timestamps. Most led nowhere. But one upload had a trace, an old server hit from a small town in Oregon. Isaac went there. Small place. Pop. 1204. Only one motel. He checked in, asked around. No one had heard of any D. Hale, but one old man in a bar told him there was a guy who used to live in a cabin up north. People say he died a long time ago. Fire accident. Body never found. That's when Isaac's hotel room was broken into, his laptop fried, his phone wiped. He left the town the next day, terrified. He tried to tell the story in an article, but before it could be published, the site crashed. The draft was lost. The editor claimed no memory of it ever being submitted. People started noticing something else. Those who subscribed to D. Hale's channels sometimes found strange folders appearing on their desktops. Files titled, "See What You Gave Up," filled with corrupted audio. Blurry photos of themselves they had never taken, and voice messages they never recorded. Some immediately, others stayed, fascinated. A Redditor posted a theory that hit too close to home. He doesn't take fame. He trades for it. You get the spotlight, but you lose something. Sometimes a memory, sometimes a person, sometimes your soul. And then the post vanished. Now, every video D. Hale posts gets millions of views. But the comments are different. Fewer jokes, more fear. Pinned messages read like warnings. I saw him in my dream. This isn't just motivation, it's a contract. Be careful who you worship. One comment, now deleted, simply said, "He's not famous, he's feeding." Nobody has seen his face clearly. No one knows where he lives. No one knows what's real anymore. His rise to fame didn't follow the usual path. There was no struggle shown, no failures documented, just silence, then impact. A force that came out of nowhere, wrapped in words that sounded like salvation but echoed like sirens. The message was always the same. Success requires sacrifice. And slowly people began to wonder, what did he sacrifice? And more importantly, what are you sacrificing every time you watch? Fame used to be a goal. Now it's a warning. And D. Hale, he might not be a man at all anymore. Maybe he was once, before he gave up everything to be seen, before the world knew his name and forgot his face, before he traded failure for something worse. He became the very thing everyone wants to be famous, but the question no one asked was, at what cost? They thought it was a glitch at first, something minor, a compression error maybe. But then more people noticed it, the same man, the same face, never looking the same way twice. His name was Aidan Cole, a rising motivational speaker who had gone from complete obscurity to internet phenomenon in under a year. His videos were everywhere: TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, powerful 60-second monologues spliced with dramatic piano and war footage. He'd gone viral for phrases like, "Pain is the down payment for greatness," and "You are not weak, you are just bleeding." The content hit hard, too hard, but something about him changed. In his first videos, his face was angular. Sharp thin lips, narrow eyes, a small scar beneath his right cheek. But then, in later clips, the scar was gone. His jaw looked different. His hairline had moved slightly. His voice, once gravelly and deep, sounded smoother, colder. Some people assumed it was lighting, filters, AI enhancement, even makeup. But the ones who watched closely obsessively knew better. They started posting side-by-sides. Each frame told a different story. In one video, Aiden's left ear was slightly higher. In another, his eye color seemed hazel instead of green. And in one no-deleted post, a zoom-in revealed something far worse. His reflection in a window didn't match the movement of his actual face. Still, the fame grew. Every day, thousands of new followers joined his cult-like fan base. The Ascenders, they called themselves. They wore black hoodies with his slogan, "Be the Fire." They quoted him, idolized him. Some even tattooed his initials on their skin. But his critics were louder too. A podcast host named Theo Myers released a 90-minute deep dive called The Aiden Anomaly, pointing out the visual inconsistencies, the facial shifts, the vanishing scar. The video gained over 1 million views in 2 days. On the third day, Theo went live, shaking, eyes sunken. He said he'd made a mistake, that Aiden wasn't just a man, he was something else. And then, during the live stream, the lights in his room flickered, and the video feed froze. When the stream resumed, Theo was gone. Chair spinning, stream ended. His channel was deleted within the hour. The fear wasn't isolated. A Reddit user posted an image from a recent Aiden video, claiming that, in a 2-frame sequence, Aiden blinked sideways, like a lizard or something wearing skin. The post was removed for violating community guidelines. When re-uploaded, the account was permanently banned. Still, his content kept coming. 3, sometimes 4 videos a day, and each one a little more unnatural. In one, he spoke in perfect English, but the subtitles generated automatically didn't match his words. They said things like, "You cannot see me as I am. The mask grows stronger. I used to be him." Some people thought it was performance art. Others swore it was more. A few claimed Aiden wasn't real at all, that he was an AI composite or a deepfake creation designed to manipulate vulnerable audiences. But then there were those who had met him, or thought they had. A woman named Lacey, a life coach from Oregon, shared screenshots from a Zoom workshop he hosted. She said that during the call, his face glitched twice. First, his pupils vanished, leaving just white. Then his voice dropped several octaves, mid-sentence, and didn't correct itself. When she emailed his team about it, she got a response from an address that didn't look human. It was a string of numbers and symbols. The reply just said, "He becomes what you need him to be." Lacey never posted again. People started digging. Where was Aiden really from? His bio said Detroit, but there were no public records, no hype, school photos, no college history. His Wikipedia page had been edited over 400 times in 1 month, and each time, a new birthplace appeared: Michigan, Chicago, Johannesburg, Oslo, and in one edit that lasted only 14 seconds before being removed. Not born, made. Still, his fans defended him, called the critics jealous, accused them of trying to cancel real inspiration. Aiden himself never addressed any of the rumors. He just kept posting. But in one rare interview, shot in low light with a trembling camera person, the interviewer asked, "Who are you, really?" Aiden smiled, but it wasn't comforting. It was too still, too rehearsed. And then he said, "I am who you believe I am." No one noticed it at first, but if you slow that clip down frame by frame right, after he says that line, his face changes. Not all at once. Gradually, his eyes widen, his cheekbones shift. It's subtle, but undeniable. For a moment, it looks like he has 4 faces, all layered together, flickering like a corrupted video file. Then it stops, back to normal, or what people thought was normal. The unsettling part wasn't just that he looked different, it was that he looked like someone the interviewer knew, his childhood friend, his dead brother, his own reflection. That clip was removed the next day, but it wasn't just video. People started seeing Aiden in other places. Reflections, glass, blurred faces in the crowd. One man claimed that after binge-watching Aiden's videos for 10 hours, he went to sleep and woke up to find Aiden standing at the foot of his bed, not speaking, just staring, then disappearing. Another claimed she heard his voice through her phone speaker when it was off. Some thought it was a mass hallucination, a psychological effect of overconsumption, parasocial obsession, digital breakdown. Others weren't so sure. One YouTube analyst discovered something disturbing. When you extracted the audio from Aiden's latest uploads and ran it through spectrogram software, hidden patterns emerged. Shapes, eyes, symbols, and in one feel a human face, not his, yours. It was like the videos were learning from their viewers, adapting, feeding. One audio engineer claimed the frequency of Aiden's voice dropped into a range humans can't consciously process, but the subconscious does. Words we don't hear but feel, commands we absorb, suggestions we can't trace back to origin. By now, Aiden Cole had over 40 million followers across platforms. Every video still gained millions of views in hours, and every video still looked like him, just not the same him. He no longer gave advice, he gave instructions, shorter, sharper, stranger. Burn what holds you, look behind you, become what they fear. Some say he doesn't exist at all anymore, not even as a person. That Aiden was a man once, but the algorithm took him, swallowed his face, voice, presence, turned him into a vessel for the digital age's darkest craving, fame without identity, inspiration without source, power without origin. He had become an idea, a force, a mirror for whatever people feared, needed, or worshipped most. And that's why his face never looks the same. Because maybe now it looks like you, ask ChatGPT. He was just another freelance writer, curious, tired, and desperate for a story worth telling. His name was Marcus Lane, and until a few months ago, he wrote fluff pieces for a struggling tech magazine. Think top 10 app lists, celebrity gadgets, influencer reviews. Nothing that mattered, nothing real. But all that changed when he received a tip in an anonymous email. The man you're looking for doesn't exist, but his grave does. Attached was a blurry image of a headstone with a name carved into it. Elias Warder, name Marcus had never heard before, except he had, in passing, during a video essay he watched weeks ago about rising internet stars. Someone mentioned Elias Ward, not as a man but as a myth, a background figure in the digital world, seen only in reflections, shadows, livestream glitches. A ghost who somehow existed in content that shouldn't contain him. It sounded like urban legend, the digital bogeyman, but Marcus couldn't ignore the strange timing, the email, the grave, the name. So he dug deeper. He started with public records. Elias Ward was supposedly a motivational speaker who attempted to build a platform online over a decade ago. His content didn't gain traction, mostly poor quality videos with barely audible audio. No likes, no shares, but something was off. In every video, he would stare directly into the camera with a blank expression before speaking, as if waiting for someone on the other side to blink first. The topics were typical success, failure, perseverance, but the delivery was hypnotic, cold, calculated, like he wasn't trying to inspire, but command. Then, according to archived obituaries, he died, supposedly in 2014. Cause of death, unknown. No witnesses, no family, no funeral, just a record, a stone, and a few low-quality videos no one remembered watching. So why, then, was his face in new videos posted this year? That's what pushed Marcus into obsession. He began noticing Elias in other creators' content. Not in the mainframe, never directly, but reflected in windows, distant mirrors, glass tables. The same face, the same expression, unchanging, never aging. The background glitches would last only a second, a twitch of static, a shadow too solid, but always the same, eyes wide, empty, and locked onto the camera like he saw through it. Marcus compiled clips, tracked metadata, searched comments. Most people didn't notice. The ones who did posted things like, "Who's the guy in the reflection at 7:14? Anyone else see the face in the mirror? This is the third video I've watched this week where he shows up." But those comments never stayed up long, either flagged or deleted within minutes. The algorithm seemed to scrub him. Marcus decided to visit the cemetery where the grave supposedly was. A small, unmarked plot in a town with a population under 2,000. It was cloudy that day. The kind of still, grey silence that makes your thoughts echo too loudly. He found the grave, same name, same date, but someone had scratched something into the bottom of the stone. "I never left." The next day, Marcus received a voice message from an unknown number. He expected a prank, maybe a warning. What he heard chilled him. "Stop looking. He's already in your footage." There was no introduction, no goodbye. Just those words, and a strange hum in the background, like static, but deeper. Marcus opened his laptop and re-watched his own recent uploads. He hadn't posted much lately, just some YouTube videos and interviews he'd done over Zoom. But he paused one at the 12:05 mark. There, reflected faintly in the glass cabinet behind him, was Elias. Not moving, not blinking, just watching. He tore the apartment apart looking for cameras, wiped his hard drives, disconnected the Wi-Fi. But it didn't matter. Elias wasn't in the internet anymore. He was inside the content. Marcus contacted an ex-colleague from his old journalism. Dazedly, she was skeptical at first, until he showed her the folder of edited footage. Her face went pale when she saw Elias appear behind her in a call they'd had a week earlier. She never noticed him then, but he was there, frame by frame, closer in every shot. They tried to run facial recognition software on the images. The results came back with multiple matches, but not real ones. Composite faces, AI simulations, none tied to a living person. But one record deep in a forensic archive flagged the face as similar to one used in psychological training simulations for trauma patients. A face used to represent presence in absence, a phenomenon in which a person believes someone is in the room even when they're not. That's when it clicked. Elias wasn't trying to be seen, he was trying to be remembered. Marcus realized that Elias's rise to fame had never happened because he failed. His message never landed, his audience never grew. But instead of giving up, something inside him shifted. A desperation so powerful, it forced him into the only space where people could never ignore you, the edges, the corners, the reflections. He became a virus not of code, but of presence, a spectre of fame, feeding off the attention of others, leeching visibility by attaching himself to those already watched. You didn't need to subscribe to him. He subscribed to you. By the end of that week, Marcus received another email. No subject line, no message body, just a video attachment titled, "I am seen." Against every instinct, Marcus clicked it. The screen was black for a few seconds. Then the words appeared in white text. "You finish what I couldn't." And then his own face appeared, but it wasn't him. The posture was off. The smile was too wide. And behind him, Elias, standing with a hand on his shoulder. The next day, Marcus uploaded a video to his channel. It was unlike anything he'd ever posted, polished, charismatic, motivational in it. He told viewers to embrace pain, to rise through obscurity, to speak even when no one's listening. The response was massive, viral in hours. Comments flooded in, people inspired, thanking him, sharing it. But the ones who knew Marcus really knew him noticed something. His voice was slightly off, his eyes weren't quite focused, and halfway through the video, in the reflection of the TV behind him, there were two shadows. But Marcus was filming, alone, or so he thought. Now, he posts daily. Short, sharp clips with messages that sound eerily like Elias's old ones. He never talks about the investigation, never mentions Elias, never replies to emails. But sometimes, if you pause the videos at just the right frame, you can see a second face layered over his, almost as if it's being worn. Because Marcus didn't just find the grave, he gave it a new voice. And Elias, he finally got what he wanted. Fame, even if it wasn't in his own skin. Ask ChatGPT. He had always said it like a joke. In interviews, in podcasts, in front of live crowds that screamed his name. He'd smirk and deliver the line like it was a clever metaphor. Success requires sacrifice. People loved it. They quoted it, shared it over slow-motion edits with music rising behind his words. For his fans, it was inspiration. For him, it was a warning. But they never understood what it actually meant. When Caleb Pierce first appeared on the scene, he was just another face in the crowd. A failed motivational speaker trying to push his way through the noise. He didn't have a following, or sponsors, or even consistent uploads. His early videos got maybe 30 views, half of which were him checking if the audio worked. Still, he spoke like someone possessed, like every syllable he uttered had been rehearsed 1,000 times alone in the dark. His eyes never looked at the lens. They looked through it, like he wasn't talking to viewers, but something just beyond them. And then, almost overnight, everything changed. One clip went viral. It wasn't even one of his best ones. Just a shaky 3-minute rant recorded on a foggy night in his car. The audio wasn't great. His voice was hoarse. But what he said lit something in people's hearts. You don't need more chances. You need fewer excuses. That was it. The fire caught. Within weeks, Caleb went from known to national voice. Invitations to speak at conferences. Mentions by celebrities. Endorsements, merch. His face printed across. Millions of phones as the digital prophet of self-discipline and purpose. But what the world never saw was what disappeared in his wake. It started with his brother, Noah. They were close growing up. Used to play music together, even co-wrote one of Caleb's earliest video scripts. Then, just before Caleb's rise, Noah vanished. No public story, no police report. Caleb never mentioned him again. Then came his college friend, Miranda. She had a channel too, though smaller. She and Caleb had made several videos together early, on sparring partners in the motivational world. She had been the first to use the phrase, "Discipline is louder than doubt." A month after Caleb said it on a podcast, Miranda posted a final video, eyes hollow, voice quiet. He took something from me, and I don't think I'm getting it back. That video was deleted the same day, her channel gone. Still, Caleb rose. He never addressed the people who vanished, never spoke of his past. Every question about his origins was deflected with charm. Every mystery laughed off as part of the grind. His fans adored him for it. They said his silence made him powerful, that he didn't dwell on the past, he built the future. But not everyone was convinced. A reporter named Jenna Gray started connecting the dots. She found archived versions of Caleb's earliest videos. In some of them, different voices could be heard faintly in the background, arguing, begging, crying. In one video, paused at just the right second, she saw a hand, someone else's hand, pulling away from the edge of the frame. She reached out to people who once knew Caleb. A few responded, nervously. Most ignored her. One left her a voicemail. He didn't climb the mountain. He buried people to build it. And then that number stopped working. Jenna posted a long-form article titled "The Cost of Caleb Pierce." It never published. The site crashed the morning it was set to go live, all backups wiped. Her login credentials disabled. She tried uploading a video summary to YouTube. It processed at 99% for over 2 hours before vanishing completely. The next day, Caleb posted a new video. He sat in a leather chair, dim light casting long shadows across his face. He looked directly into the camera, smile faint. Some people think they know what success takes. They don't. He leaned closer. They think you can win without loss, that you can have the crown without the cut. But the truth is, you have to give something up. Then he looked away, whispering, "Some things you don't get back." No one knew what it meant. Or maybe no one wanted to know. But the comments were different this time. Not just praise, not just fire emojis, and I needed this today. Replies. There were people asking questions. Why doesn't Caleb have family? Has anyone actually met him in person? Where's Miranda? Did he ever explain what happened to his brother? Those comments didn't last. Most were removed. Some accounts shadow banned. A few vanished entirely. Then something truly strange happened. A small Discord server dedicated to motivational content claimed that one of its members, an aspiring speaker, was contacted directly by Caleb's team. They were offered a chance, no details, just a cryptic invitation to a retreat. He accepted. He never came back. When someone from the server followed up, they got a reply. One sentence: he sacrificed comfort. He's ascending now. It sounded like a cult. Maybe it was. People kept watching Caleb, sharing him, loving him, because his message worked. It changed lives. It motivated. It inspired. But it also consumed. And somewhere in the middle of his own legend, Caleb began to change. His eyes looked colder, his tone flatter. The passion was still there, but it was mechanical, as if reading from a script written by something ancient, something that fed on hope and turned it into fire. He no longer smiled in videos. He didn't need to. His words smiled for him. One of his final appearances before disappearing from the public eye was on a live stream, Q&A. A viewer asked him, if you could give one piece of advice to someone trying to make it, what would it be? Caleb leaned forward. The lights flickered. The screen pixelated briefly. His voice came through deep, quiet, final. Give up something you love, something that hurts, and do it without expecting it back. Then watch the world open for you. The stream ended a minute later. It was the last time anyone saw Caleb live. His pre-recorded videos still release weekly. His social media still posts quotes. His business still runs. But no one has seen him in real time. Since that night, his team offers no updates. His close followers say he's beyond the surface now, whatever that means. And still, the phrase circulates. Still loved, still worshipped. Success requires sacrifice. What no one tells you is what the sacrifice actually is. Your time, sure. Your comfort, absolutely. But sometimes, it's people. Sometimes, it's parts of yourself you'll never get back. Sometimes, it's everything. Caleb knew that. He learned it the hard way. And then he embraced it. He became something larger than his pain, but not lighter. He carried the cost, buried it under applause, and wore his fame like a crown made of broken names. He warned us. We just thought it was a clever line. Ask ChatGPT. They said he vanished. One last live stream, one final cryptic post, and then he was gone. No warnings, no goodbyes, just a quiet message pinned on all his social platforms at the same time, text only, white letters on a black background. Fame never forgets who it took. It sat there like a tombstone. For months, people speculated what it meant. A new project, a marketing trick, suicide, burnout, maybe he just quit. But those who had followed him from the beginning really followed him knew it was more than that. Something wasn't right. Something felt unfinished. His name was Eli Vance, a rising voice in the digital storm. A motivational figure who came from nowhere and captured millions with nothing but his words, his calm eyes, and a haunting presence that made every sentence feel like prophecy. He didn't scream, he didn't sell. He spoke like a man who had been to the other side of suffering and returned to map the way out. But his fame, it was too clean. No background, no personal stories, no childhood friends coming forward. Just Eli appearing in a video one day like he had always existed. The first post was simple: him sitting on a floor in a grey hoodie facing the camera. I have seen what silence does to people. I've lived there. The video had no music, no cuts, no production. It hit 2 million views in a week. He followed it with more. Lessons on identity, isolation, failure, but not like others. His words didn't feel motivational, they felt inevitable, like he was reminding you of something you'd already forgotten, like he knew you. And then the rumors started. Fans noticed strange details in the backgrounds of his videos. Objects moving between cuts, books opening on their own, a second shadow near the edge of the frame, even when he filmed alone. Audio spectrums of his voice contained anomalous subaudible frequencies that shaped themselves into distorted words when amplified. Phrases like, "I didn't come alone, the voice is shared, he speaks through me. Still, he rose. Quickly, too quickly." Collaborations came in, brand deals, interview requests, but he declined all of them. He never traveled, never showed up in public. His presence remained digital, ghost-like, untouchable, until someone tried to touch him. A small YouTuber named Quinn Devlin made a breakdown video titled, "Who is Eli Vance Really?" It gained traction fast, especially when she claimed she'd found an old blog post from years ago containing the exact phrases Eli used in his earliest videos. The post was signed by someone named Marcus Ellison, who had died in 2015. The obituary was real. The blog archived. The language identical. Quinn's video vanished within 48 hours. So did she. No social updates, no uploads. Her Patreon cancelled by user request. Her last tweet read, "He doesn't create, he continues." Other creators tried to follow up. Most failed. A few went quiet. One, a data analyst, revealed something disturbing before disappearing himself. He showed that Eli's voice prints didn't match across videos. Same tone, yes, but structurally, they were different. As if multiple people had recorded them using the same cadence, the same rhythm. As if they were all reading from the same script. Some started to believe Eli was never one person, that he was an idea, a consciousness being passed along like a virus inhabiting new hosts. One Reddit thread dared to say what others only whispered. He didn't chase fame, he fed it, and it fed him. The theory was simple and terrifying. Fame itself was alive, a force, a presence, and Eli wasn't the first, just the latest, maybe even the most obedient. It made sense, in a way. His videos weren't about joy or celebration. They were about sacrifice, submission, vanishing. Every one of them hinted at something being left behind. He said things like, "The louder they cheer, the quieter you become, but they love in you isn't yours anymore. The light doesn't show you, it replaces you." And yet people kept watching, even when the tone shifted. When his eyes started looking past the camera, when the clips got shorter, when the audio glitched, when his mouth stopped syncing with his voice, when people claimed to hear whispers their own names in the static of his videos. One person reported a terrifying experience. They paused a video and stepped away. When they returned, the screen was black. Their webcam light was on. They hadn't turned it on. The message on the screen said, "Now I see you." That was the last they ever watched. Eventually, the algorithm seemed to bury Eli. Newer creators took his place, more polished, more marketable, but those who remembered kept digging, kept asking, where did he go? Then, one morning, his channels, all of them updated. A single post, a video, 30 seconds long, no title, no caption. It was black screen and whispering, layered voices. Then a sentence, clear and calm. Fame never forgets who it took. And then a final frame. Eli, sitting in the same grey hoodie, only this time, smiling. But it wasn't his smile. It was someone else's, wider, stranger, unfamiliar. His eyes flickered, like something else blinked from behind them. That video never showed up again. If you didn't see it live, you never saw it at all. No one could find a download. It didn't even register in browser histories. But since that day, strange things began happening to creators who had once admired him. One said he couldn't record without hearing faint breathing in his headphones. Another claimed every mirror in his house started showing Eli's face during sunrise. A third stopped uploading altogether after confessing in a now-deleted comment. He followed me back. Some believe Eli was real, a man who found something ancient, dangerous, and beautiful. Others think he was a mask worn by that very thing, a creature that feeds on attention, that wears the language of inspiration to hollow us out. But what's certain is this: he wanted to be seen, and he was. And now, maybe, you are too. Because fame doesn't end when the spotlight fades. It lingers, in echoes, in reflections, in the silence after the applause. And it never forgets the ones it took. It waits for the next voice to rise. Maybe yours, ask ChatGPT.